When enemies rise, when immortality ends, the ultimate battle begins. The Wolverine. Well, I watched this movie the other day, directed by James Mangold. In case you're curious about the timeline of this movie, if it's a spin-off, prequel, sequel, in-betweequel, this takes place several years after the events of X-Men 3, also known as X-Men The Last Stand. And if you're like me, you're kind of curious, what about the other mutants? What about the other X-Men? I mean, it sounds like they all went their separate ways, but it's kind of odd, though, that they didn't even reference them or anything. But then again, this movie is called The Wolverine. It's about Logan. But it would have been nice, maybe like a montage or something, just to see what happened. Because Wolverine, just looks like a homeless guy in the beginning. I feel bad for him, and it's like, did they break up? Were they like a band? They just had a bad breakup? Anyways, let's break it down. The cinematography was very good. Not so much during the action sequences. I can't imagine shooting an action sequence on a train like that, doing the CGI and all that. But some of the shots, like the handheld following the POV shots, they just didn't work. They're too shaky. But otherwise, very pleased with the cinematography. The script was good. It was fair. A lot of good lines in the trailers, but other than that, nothing that really stood out. The plot, well, the trailers pretty much told us everything that was going to happen in the movie. And the music, it fit the film well. Nothing that stood out at all. Any highlights, standout moments when Wolverine returns after he performs a surgery on himself. He gets that little device thing out that was affecting his healing ability, and he stands up and he's got his claws out and he's like, "Where's Viper, bub?" That was a great moment. Maybe the best moment in the movie. Okay, so my other notes. This kind of reminded me of the movie Fearless. Kind of the plot, the story. If you haven't seen that one with Jet Li, check it out. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I don't mean it's copying it or anything. There are definitely some different things that happen in both. But it's definitely a compliment too. Both very good movies. The trailers. Back to the trailers. They're kind of misleading. They make it seem like this is just an action-packed movie. They showed us everything that happened. It's like, I thought back to The Dark Knight. So in the trailers, they never showed us any scenes, any clips from the battle at the end, in the building with the SWAT team and that. It's like, you save something like that. Just save something. Yeah, you show us the parts of the chase, other action sequences, that's fine. But at least save something, just to surprise people. I think the Silver Samurai, well, as I call him, the Super Shredder, if they'd saved that, people would be talking about that, every day. Just going crazy. They're like, did you see that thing? Because you're not sure when you first see it. It's just sitting there. You're like, is that thing gonna move? Is that for a sequel? What is that? But in the trailers, it's like we see it in action. We know what's coming. But they didn't show any of the really slow moments in the trailers, which I can understand from a marketing perspective. But this movie, it's not boring. It's a very slow movie. Its focus isn't on the action sequences at all, I don't think. There isn't a lot of build-up to them. They just kind of happen. Jean Grey, it was great to see Famke Janssen. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I know the Famke. But she shows up 4 times in this movie. In Logan's dreams and his thoughts. I think they overdid it a bit. I liked the first and the last time we saw her. I think this movie could have used a montage or two. When Logan's going into town and doing some work, it's like, we don't need to see that in real time. Just show us a montage. But it would help the movie pace a little bit better, I think. When this movie was in production, I was reading that Wolverine travels to Japan to train with a samurai warrior. I didn't get that at all from this movie. That just didn't happen. So that was kind of not really a letdown. I was just like, this isn't what I read. I mean, he learns to hold the sword, with 2 hands, which comes in handy at the end. Yashida is a silver samurai. I freaking knew it. I knew it. I should have called that out. So when I saw him, I wasn't even like, no way. I was just like, shite, I was right. But still, that's very clever. Very good. Kind of odd for the story since, Logan saved him all those years ago. And then he contacts him and, he wants to say goodbye. And he says he has a gift for him, wants to help him, make him human. And then he does this. And it's just kind of weird because you're not sure. It's like, should I be sad about this? Or, like, what's going on? This destruction of the adamantium. So the silver samurai, I guess he has a heated adamantium sword, and that's how he's able to cut through Logan's claws. And if you're curious about the post-credit scene with the bone claws, don't worry, I'm going to get to that very soon. I know you're probably like, how is Magneto doing that? But with the heated sword, that makes sense to me. Obviously, he couldn't kill Wolverine, but he could cut him up pretty bad. Oh, look, the post-credit scene. I read somewhere it took place 2 years later. I'm not sure if that's right or not. I didn't see that listed on the post-credit scene, but I'm not sure. So the bone claws. So when Logan spots Magneto and he turns to him, gets his claws out, Magneto's able to stop him. You're probably like, how is this possible? The adamantium was drained from his body, wasn't it? Well, I thought that too. I just watched that like maybe 15 minutes ago, and I was scrolling down reading the comments because I was like, am I the only one who noticed this? Because this would be like a breakthrough. I'd be like, this is a major plot hole. Not quite. So we know that the adamantium was taken away from his bone claws, but the rest of his body, doubtfully. It seemed like when the Silver Samurai was injecting those needles and that into him, I too thought that he was taking away all the adamantium. But I guess not. But that should explain it. That's how Magneto is still able to control Logan. I thought it'd be kind of funny if Nick Fury showed up at the airport, the post-credit scene. Hello, Logan. I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. Go fuck yourself. Exit Logan. That'd have been kind of funny. But that scene leads into X-Men Days of Future Past, which comes out May 23rd, 2014, the day after my birthday. Anyways, let's get back to this movie. The funeral and train sequences. So the funeral scene, the action scene, I wasn't really looking forward to. I was like, they pretty much show you what happens in the trailer. But what I didn't expect is that once we're done with the funeral shootout, it goes right into the train sequence. You have to be careful with how you pace these things. I mean, you're not given any time to breathe. It's just one after another. And the first, half an hour plus of this movie, there isn't, much action besides a little bar sword fight and that. But, yeah, doing these back to back, it's just kind of risky. The other fights, the one at the lab with, I don't even know the guy's name. The one that Wolverine fights once he gets his healing power back. And then, of course, the fight with the Silver Samurai at the end. Those were very good. The one at the lab was probably the best. The way that Logan lost his healing ability, I thought was pretty clever. I was wondering how they were going to do that. Thankfully the trailer didn't show us that. how Viper was somehow able to implant this device. I think it was on his heart, but it was very clever. And then him removing it, I wonder if they have anything saved for the R-rated version. I heard there's going to be an R-rated version on DVD and Blu-ray when it comes out. But X-Men Origins Wolverine, I think, is more entertaining. I'm not saying it's a better movie per se, but it has more action, the structure is better, and even Hugh Jackman said that it's like another X-Men movie, because there were so many mutants. And it's weird to see them not really talk down about the movie, but not really help it by saying like, oh, we made some mistakes. It's like, you work on this movie, you release it, you promote it, and just because some fans don't like it, it's like, oh, now you change your mind about it? But it's just a very weird business sometimes. But I don't know about you, but I don't like seeing Logan limp and suffer, with his wounds. I mean, we know what happens to, quote, normal person, unquote, when they get shot or stabbed. Seeing him go through it, it's like one of the reasons we love this character is because he's able to heal so fast. You see him suffer for like a split second, and then his wounds are gone. But I didn't like seeing him, in pain. I don't think it helped the movie. And again, it's like we already know what's going to happen. It's like if he doesn't have the healing factor, guess what? He's going to hurt. But overall, this is a good film. I wouldn't call it an action movie per se. It's a journey. It's a quest. Not so much an adventure. I'm really looking forward to X-Men Days of Future Past. I heard that Kitty Pryde is going to send Wolverine back in time. I guess send his conscious to his younger self, so he'll wake up in his younger body, and then he'll work with a young Magneto and Xavier. And that movie I'm looking forward to. I mean, you look at the cast list in that, it's just so many great mutants, so many great people. But the Wolverine, not one of my favorites of the year. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. But definitely could have done more with this movie and shown a lot less in the trailers. I mean, I understand when you're proud of a movie, you want to show like all the highlights and everything, but it's like pretty much everything you see in the trailers, that's what the movie is. Like nothing's left to surprise. But check it out. I wouldn't pay too much to see this. And comes out on home video and Blu-ray. I don't see this movie making a lot, even with the R-rated version. Unless they have, a lot of new footage. But I don't know if this is an improvement to step up from X-Men Origins. I think they're both good for different reasons. And anyways, that is my review of the Wolverine. Thank you very much for listening. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you thought of the movie, video responses, and anything X-Men you want to talk about, leave some comments. You want to talk about other movies, that's fine. Other X-Men movies, that is. But subscribe for new videos, and have yourself a wonderful day.